Hello there, boys and girls, and welcome to day 17 of the MBD Month of Mindset Challenge with me, Dave Cottrell. Today's task is task. It's a little bit self-explanatory, really. It's that we all have a task list, whether that's up here on a piece of paper, on several pieces of paper scattered around, or like this one here. This is one of my many task lists on a platform called Trello. And I'm going to go as far as to say I'm not one of the world's most organised people. I'm just genuinely not. But I used to be when there was a lot less going on in my life. I was one of those people that really resisted writing shopping lists because I had it all up here. And I also grew up really valuing my ability to remember things. But then as life gets busier, as we get a little bit older and we move forward with things, my ability to remember shopping lists diminished. Now, it wasn't because I can't remember a shopping list. It's because there was extra processing power being used up here for all of those things. So by other things in life. So the many different things. And as we'll find this, that probably the reason we say to kids that school is the best day of your life, what we're just saying is that, yes, we're not saying that kids don't have troubles in school. They certainly do. What we're saying is they don't tend to be coming from as many different angles as when you are a grown-up. Now, when I found this, I resisted really hard because I thought, use it or lose it in terms of your memory. But what really happened is I was actually using it, just using it for different things. And after spending literally years resisting any more formal state of organisation, because to me, creating a task list became another task. However, the other thing that's positive about it is that, when I used to have my task lists on books, and I've got a good number of books right behind this camera over there, and I'd have task lists on there. The problem with them is I wouldn't necessarily always go back to them, but I always enjoyed the process of crossing something off the list. The feeling of actually crossing something off the list in itself was a little reward for me. And I've got a feeling that that's going to be a little reward for some of you guys too. So I moved over to using something called Trello, which was advised to me by the guy who does all my design work, a guy called Matt Booth. He's an absolutely awesome guy, booth.co.uk. Not warranted, but unexpected shout out there. He does all of my logo was originally designed by someone else, but called Karen, but he does all of my design work. So he sort of designed the stuff for the back of this t-shirt, all of the tags for these days of mindset. He did all of that as well, that artwork, and on the videos that have thumbnails, he's the one who does all of those. He's a great guy. Also did the whole of my website. So, but he pushed me over to this, and again, resisted we've known each other for 6 years. I started using this a year ago. So I resisted for 5 years. It was a really silly idea. And then I started using it. And the great thing about using something like Trello is it helps me to keep organized. It helps me to kind of have everything on there so I don't have to remember. And again, a little space creates a lot of room. It's not like switching that off made me go a little bit dumb and made me go, I don't need to use my brain anymore. It gave me space for more creativity. It made me feel much more on top of projects. And also, that whole thing I said about like scratching something off as my little reward. Well, I have various different steps. So from this side to this side, this is my one for podcasts. And on here, we have my bucket list. We have the people who've historically declined and maybe I want to badger again one day. We have an idea of people I've not asked. Then we have whether I've requested, whether they've accepted, whether we've booked it, whether we've recorded it, processed it, published it. And then the one step that I would often miss is I would often kind of do all this work with podcasts with people. And the one step I would often miss was to promote the podcast once it's out there. So I actually made promote the podcast actually my final step. So until a podcast reaches that far right-hand side where it's promoted, it's not actually done. I knew myself that was the stage that I would struggle with the most. So I made that stage the one that actually equals the completion. And right now, actually, I've just processed and published this morning the episode for Sanctus. I've not promoted it yet. I'm going to be doing that after this video on my Instagram page. But I get to then come over here and I can move that from recorded to processed to published. And that's like scratching off the list twice for me. It's like I get to move it those 2 squares, and later on, once I've actually done the promotion on it, I get to move it again. Now, there are other things obviously available, but the thing is, again, with all of these tasks, it's try something out. This is a free piece of software, I don't pay anything for that. So try stuff out, see how it actually works. And I've got different boards for different things. My board here is for podcasts with guests, but podcasts when they're solo is different because I don't have to do any booking or anything like that. So there's a much more streamlined process on that. And then I've got a huge project running this year called The Life a Day It Takes a Village, which has got a ton of people involved in. And again, I have to keep tabs on every single person that I've communicated with on that and what stage we're up to with that communication. And each one of those people has to give me a headshot and and the details of their offer and a little bit of a bio. So that's 3 different things I need from each person, and then we need to push it, promote it, whether or not we've done that. So it's so many moving parts to keep on top of, and this little bit of organisation helps me with that. So my task, if I ever feel what am I supposed to be doing right now, which quite often I would say happens a couple of times a day, this board is like a constant reminder to me, and it helps me to know. So as I say, I'm not affiliated by Trello or anything like that. I'm not sponsored by them. So and then there are other boards available, but just go around, have a little look and see, because there's to quote something from James Clear, his great book Atomic Habits, is make it attractive. If you want to make a habit, make it attractive. And there's a great story in there of a guy who wanted to make 100 sales calls every single day, and he'd start with a jar of 100 beads on one side, and he'd have an empty jar on the other, and after each call he'd physically move a bead into the other jar. Having something that you can physically represent the things that you have achieved is a great way to help make a habit stick. Right, that's it. I'm going to go and get on with some other tasks, and I will see you all tomorrow.